Hey everyone, this is Bales. I'm at FantasyLabs looking at our new Vegas dashboard, which we currently have up for MLB and we'll be adding for other sports. And it is located here in the Vegas tab in our submenu. And it's basically just a collection of all of the different Vegas data we have regarding implied runs, the total, money line, betting percentages, and things like that. So you can sort by site, DraftKings or FanDuel, up here in the left-hand corner. This only changes one thing, which is this team value rating, which is a metric that I created to grade a team from 0 to 100 based on how much value they offer as an entire offense. And that looks at the live implied run total and compares it to the overall cost of the team on a given site. So I like to use this a lot to figure out where to play or where to get exposure to certain stacks. So if I'm going to stack the Nationals tonight, then I might want to try to get exposure to them where they're a better deal. So they're comparable team value rating on FanDuel and DraftKings wouldn't matter much, but sometimes the team value rating will differ a lot, in which case you definitely want the most exposure, all else equal, to where they're the cheapest. You can also sort here by contest, so if we want to look solely at the late slate, we could do that. And so the data that we have includes the implied opening runs. This is what Vegas opened the lines at. The implied live runs, so the Padres have moved down 0.2 implied runs. The Giants have moved up 0.1. We calculate implied run totals by looking at the over-under and the money line. And so using those two things, we can determine how many runs each team is implied to score, and we actually look at it historically. So we'll look at comparable situations. So the Padres are roughly plus 150, which means that they're a somewhat big dog, and the over-under is at 7.5. Look at situations like that in the past. How many runs have those teams scored? And historically, it's around 3.1. So that's the implied live run total. The difference between these two, so you can see how much lines are moving. You can also see that over here on the right. You can see change over time. So sometimes, such as in the Reds-Mets game, there's really not too much change. Sometimes there's a lot of change, like in the Orioles-Rays game here. But looking at those, you can really decipher a lot of different things, I think, which I'll talk about in a second. Over-under for the game, opening and live, the difference there. The percentage of bets on the over, the under. So here in the Padres game, the top number here is the percentage of bets on the over, 51%, and 49% on the under, so roughly even betting. In the Phillies Nationals games, the majority of bets have come in on the over. Sometimes in that case, Vegas will increase the total for the game, so the over-under here could have moved to 8. The fact that they haven't moved it suggests that they're confident that the original line was right. And there's a variety of reasons that that might be the case, which I'll talk about in a second. The money line, opening and live, and the difference. Money line betting percentages, so 74% of bets as of this minute have come in on the Giants in this game, 86% on the Nationals versus the Phillies, and so on. And then we have a column for reverse line movement, which I am going to talk about right now. So reverse line movement is when things just sort of don't add up. Normally, when there's a lot of bets on a particular team, they'll become a worse bet for bettors. Vegas is adjusting. So the Giants are a good example here. And this happens with most of the time. 74% of bets have come in on the Giants. Vegas has moved them predictably from minus 165 to minus 182, which means they've become a bigger favorite to win and a worse bet, and their implied run total has moved up to from 4.3 to 4.4 runs. Similar situation with the Padres. They've become a better bet, moving from plus 152 to plus 167, as they've gotten only 26% of moneyline bets, and their implied total has moved down from 3.3 to 3.1. So generally, there's value in targeting those offenses whose projections have moved up, almost always. And you want to do that because pricing is static on the daily fantasy sites, but value isn't static. It's a changing thing. There's the wind can change. There can be a change in the batting order is obviously a really big thing. Pitcher could get scratched. And so those changes predict value because we're dealing with static pricing that can't accommodate those changes. So that's normally how a line moves. Sometimes it'll move in a different way. And so we can go down here and we have what we consider reverse line movement. And so reverse line movement can be either good, in which case a team will get a green check mark, or bad. So let's look at a good one. We have the Diamondbacks here listed as with reverse line movement that we think is good. And what I mean by good is that they're sharp money. People that we think are probably know what they're doing are putting their money on the Diamondbacks. And the reason that we think this is, you can see here their implied run total has moved up from 4.2 to 4.8. It's a change of 0.6 runs since it opened, but they're only getting 36% of bets. And so the fact that Vegas moved it that much, even though the majority of bets are coming in on the Cardinals, suggests that probably the majority of money, or the majority of money from sharp bettors, is coming in on the Diamondbacks. And so that's an example of reverse line movement. In the opposite way, we have the Pirates, for example. So they were opened at 5.7 implied runs. They're at 5.1 now. They've dropped 0.6 runs. That's anytime you get above about 0.3 runs, it can become significant unless there was some obvious reason like a pitching change or something like that. And so they've dropped, even though they've actually gotten 63% of moneyline bets. So typically we'd expect a team that's getting that many bets to actually become better. You can see the line in this game actually moved down a half a run, but all of the decrease came with the Pirates. So if this were split up evenly, 0.3, 0.3, or 0.25, 0.25, it wouldn't really matter to us much, and that wouldn't be considered reverse line movement. So this suggests that maybe sharper money is off of the Pirates. And so it doesn't mean that we blindly need to fade the Pirates or blindly need to stack the Diamondbacks, but it's just a little more evidence that those teams are good or bad plays based on where we think people who are really smart are putting their money. So I think that this is going to be a really useful page. I've been using it as we've been testing it to look for reverse line movement and just to see changes in the lines. And yeah, I hope you like it.